Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So yesterday was quite brutal. We saw a lot of dumping yesterday, but will Bitcoin and US markets dump some more? Let's talk about what has happened, what to expect today, and what to look forward to after market open, I guess. All right, let's do it. Welcome, guys. Bitcoin is now stabilizing around where we are, about 56.4. Yesterday, obviously, we had a little bit of a fall here, down to about 55.5. Right now, it's holding. The U.S. market is opening up in the red, especially NASDAQ. NASDAQ had a horrific day yesterday. Will it continue? You had the hottest company on the planet, Nvidia, go down nearly 10% yesterday alone, wiping out over 300 billion in market cap, the largest loss in history. And the overall U.S. market lost about $1 trillion. Now today, things may be a little bit better as Wall Street tries to figure out what to do next. Maybe there's a little bounce, but this was yesterday. It was absolutely brutal, and no one was safe. There's not one single green on this chart right here. This all started really with Japan, and Japan is still leading it. Japan's market closed in a negative 4%. That's not good at all. Basically, a lot of speculation why we sold off yesterday. I believe it's really due to one cause. It's due to Japan. And a lot of people also seem to think that this has more legs in terms of this carry trade issue that may be ongoing. Yesterday, their governor, the Bank of Japan governor, said that they will continue to lift rates, and that is what really spooked the market. So this is the effect Japan has now, not in a good way, but man, for far too long, they had their rates at negative interest rates. Basically, you got paid for borrowing money, okay? And all these rich and greedy Wall Street types and others from around the world, what did they do? They borrowed billions upon billions, and they used it to buy other assets around the world. But now that the yen is getting stronger against the USD, and there's going to be an interest rate in terms of what was borrowed, now those people are selling off. They're dumping. They're selling everything because they don't want to lose money so that they can repay back their loans, right? That's what this carry trade is about, and could get much worse. This is why you're seeing such weakness, especially with risk-on assets like tech and crypto. That's what's happening right now. And it just sucks. Again, I made this point last night. It's really about greed of Wall Street. The last catastrophe, financial collapse that we had was due to the same thing. Greed, ultra greed of banks and bankers and Wall Street. That's what led to almost the financial destruction back in 2008. And this is one of those times too. Again, just greed. People trying to figure out how to take advantage of the system and not realizing the consequences of it. So this is kind of like that. But besides Japan and this carry trade problem, September is considered the worst month for stocks. We know that historically speaking, September is the worst month for Bitcoin too, but it's also the worst month for stocks. So this, I think, has some part to play in what has happened, right? Will things continue? Will we see more selling off this month? I don't know. Could We could possibly see something like that this year, or maybe not. Maybe we're going to get saved by that FOMC meeting coming up in a couple weeks, and we get a tremendous rate cut. Okay, let's take a look at a percentage. Last night, it was up to 41%. It is still holding there. 41% for a 50 basis point cut, 59% for a 25. We're going to get a cut. It's just a matter of how much. 41% is nearing that 50%. If the markets continue to dump, then this percentage is going to start going up in a big way. And plus, we got economic data to look forward to, especially on Friday with unemployment and jobs report, right? So this could all be a ploy also, some are speculating, to give Powell ammunition to that 50 basis point cut right before, a couple months before our big presidential election, right, coming up. So I'm not sold yet. It may be silly to say now, but we're only in the first week of September. I'm not sold that this is predestined, that U.S. markets and Bitcoin and crypto markets have to end in negative. Okay, we haven't had a rate cut in how many years? 4 years. So things could turn around. But this carry trade thing continues to drag down markets right now. As for ETFs, yesterday was absolutely brutal. 800 and no, if it was an 800 outflow day, that would be the end. No, 287 million outflow, largest in 4 months. But here's the thing. With all the outflows you see here, right? BlackRock at 0. Larry Fink, he's trying his hardest, even though he had a second outflow day last week. Even with yesterday's horrendous selling from all funds, including Fidelity alone selling 162 million, BlackRock had 0. Larry Fink is putting his foot down and saying, no, while others are selling, we will be buying. That's just, or at least we're not selling if not buying, right? So that is actually pretty impressive if you think about it. Every single other fund sold except BlackRock's. They already have over 20 billion. They don't want to lose any of that. The third largest holder in history already. And, you know, quite impressive. Again, especially considering how much fear there is. Crypto Fear and Greed Index is 27. I don't even know. They have one for stocks too. I bet the stocks is really low. And they also have VIX, which is a good measurement of volatility. I bet VIX is really high. But ultimately right now, there are just a lot of people that are fearing about what's to come. What's to come for this month? What's to come for the remainder of this year? Are we going to have a recovery? Are we going to see Bitcoin come back up? Are we going to break through our previous high? Are we going to hit 6 figures? Right? Those are the $1 million questions. And I believe the answer to all of them is yes, 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 and yes. I don't know if I asked 4 questions. But here we go. Howard here, who's the CEO and chairman of, Cantor Fitzgerald LP, which is a huge investment bank. He has just put this out, and basically he is bullish on Bitcoin. Like so many other leaders of Wall Street, they are all now recognizing that Bitcoin is an asset to hold, an asset that will dominate the future, especially with TradeFi. And that is why you need to load up on Bitcoin. He starts out by saying, if you want to know the performance in the next 5 years for Bitcoin, just look at the past 5 years. It's really quite simple. That's just how simple it is. Short term, day to day, week to week, maybe even year to year. We have seen year to year, 2022, 2023 have been bad, right? But long term, you look at 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. Nothing has outperformed Bitcoin, and I'm going to show you something at the end of this, right? That's just how it is. That's why you want to be in Bitcoin long term. Short term, it's frustrating. Sometimes it is very frustrating, but that's the price of emissions for Bitcoin and crypto. That's just how it is. The largest Swiss bank now offers Bitcoin to 1.5 million customers. We're starting to hear this more and more. Not only Bitcoin, but also ETFs. Banks are offering it, right, to their wealthy clients. Unstoppable force at this point, right? Demand will continue to go up. Supply will continue to go down. You just have to be patient. You have to be patient. The whales, they have been patient. They have been buying. Number of large transactions continue to kind of sway a little bit, but overall still very, very high. The whale activity is still high. Many are DCAing and buying the dip. And the liquid supply, the number of supply of Bitcoin continues to go up. The liquid means ones that haven't moved for years. And if you look at this, we're at all-time high. That's very impressive. Very, very impressive. And that's mostly due to the whales and the large holders that have no interest at all in terms of selling. Does not matter what happens to Bitcoin. They will continue to hodl. And many of them are adding. But, man, this is all-time high. This is even higher than, when we have capitulated, we have bottomed out. It's higher than all the FOMO tops. We're at the highest liquid supply ever in history. Think about that. Think about that, right? Now, we know that a lot of longs have been liquidated recently. Okay, these funding rates now have dropped to really, really, really low levels. The longs have been wiped out. Now, next, waiting for the shorts to get wiped out, right? But usually, when the funding rates are this low, that means something is about to happen. Just like this, there's still a lot of patterns that show that a breakout is coming because of all the uncertainty with markets, right? Maybe we have to wait a little bit longer. But this is the most important thing that I could show you guys, and I showed this yesterday. Short term, again, Bitcoin can be volatile. Bitcoin could go down just like anything else. But long term, there is nothing when compared to Bitcoin goes up. Gold, Tesla, S&P 500, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, JP Morgan even, Apple, real estate. Okay? You have tech, you have precious metals, you have indexes. When compared to Bitcoin, long term, they all look like this. They all go to zero when pegged against Bitcoin, right? You can see up and downs, but long term, all of them go to zero versus Bitcoin, right? So this is why I've always said Bitcoin is the greatest store of value we have, the best hedge against inflation, because nothing outperforms it. It's really that simple. And as the dollar inflates more and more every single year, it's going to help assets like Bitcoin even more, right? Every single thing when compared to Bitcoin goes to zero eventually, because Bitcoin will only get bigger and stronger and more costly as time goes on. That's really it. All right, last two things. I don't know if you guys really care at this point in time with the market weakness, but Polygon is going to be swapping to their new Pol token soon. okay, with a much less emission rate, inflation rate, only 2%, okay, and this will help them hopefully revitalize themselves, and even Coinbase is supporting this conversion. So we will see how this goes, but this should be coming very, very shortly. I don't know if they have exact date yet, but it is coming soon. And also, I saw this. The former Gox CEO is going to launch a new crypto exchange in Europe. I don't know why anyone would trust Mark Capellas, who took over Mt. Gox, made it lose however many billions, set Bitcoin back for however many years, and now he's going to be launching a new crypto exchange in Europe. Hopefully none of you guys fall for it. All right. That's pretty much it. Let's see. Today, Dow Jones have turned green a little bit. NASDAQ is still showing weakness. We may get that little bounce. NVIDIA still in the red, but better than yesterday. And MicroStrategy and Coinbase are still down about 1 to 2%. Let's see if we get that little bounce back today. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right, let me scroll up. Let's see if I missed anything. A lot of good mornings. Imagine a 75 basis point cut. It's not even in the... I don't even think it's going to... It's not even a possibility at this point. But if we do see massive dumping the next 2 weeks, then yeah, we could certainly see it. Or the jobs report on unemployment have gotten substantially worse. Stanley Wong is asking, hey, George, are you way too bullish? No. It's just what I believe in. Is Michael Saylor too bullish? Do you consider him too bullish? I mean, he's taking out loans to buy Bitcoin, for God's sakes. I'm not doing that. I would say he's a lot more bullish than me, but I believe in Bitcoin because I truly understand what Bitcoin is about. And if you put all 2 and 2 together, you know, some of these top CEOs of major Wall Street firms, they're not sticking their neck out for Bitcoin for no reason, right? Institutions are not buying tens of billions of Bitcoin and ETFs for no reason. And we've seen what inflation have done to our economies around the world the last few years. You put all this together, and then you put in the fundamentals of Bitcoin growing and the 4-year cycle. I'm not being too bullish. This is just reality. Create Your Heaven asks, even if you had like 20 pounds or $20, is it worth buying a tiny fraction of Bitcoin and putting some altcoins? I mean, here's the thing. It's a loaded question because no one just puts in $20 and then that's it, right? I would say if you're not in crypto at all, at least putting $20 in Bitcoin and buying a fractional or sats will get you to pay attention to it. At least you'll start trying to learn more. And once you understand more, you go put more money into it. So some may argue, well, $20 is not going to make you a millionaire in Bitcoin, right? That may be true. I mean, $20 in Bitcoin is not going to make you a millionaire. It can go up 10x, it can go up 100x, but to go up 1,000x or 10,000x at this point, probably not. Not for some time. But at least it gets you in the game. And then when you decide to invest more, then you'll be better for it, right? So I would say it's still a good idea. What a lot of people do is put $20 into some latest like meme and they hope it could go to $1 million, and then it goes to zero, and then they lose interest and then they get out, right? So that's not what you want. Dimitri, I have 18% in Sol, 78% in Bitcoin. I'm not at 5 Bitcoin yet this week. Should I buy more Bitcoin, Sol, or Nvidia, or what else? Thanks. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not your financial advisor, and I don't give out financial advice. However, I believe in Bitcoin, so I definitely think it's going to go higher. So it's never a bad time to be buying Bitcoin. I also think when Bitcoin goes higher, many alts will go higher. For example, you mentioned Sol. Yes, I do think they're going to go higher as well. And of course, Nvidia, they will definitely go higher. It makes no sense for anyone to be betting against Nvidia since they are basically a monopoly at this point, and AI is only going to get stronger and bigger from here on out. And they're basically the only GPU provider. So it makes no sense to sell them either, right? JJ says, George, people have to learn the hard way. I mean, they do. They do. And in the meantime, it kind of sucks because a lot of people are in fear, or they're down and they want to lash out and they don't quite understand, and they feel like, it's all wishful dream and Bitcoin's never go pump up until it does. Every single cycle. I found I found a folder of all the videos I did in the first year that I started doing this show. I should play some of those for you guys. And you guys should hear what I've said years ago and the prices from years ago, because I've lived through many cycles and I've seen a lot. I've seen so much volatility. Didn't quite understand most of them. But now I think figuring macro scale, global, political, geopolitical, and all this other stuff that's happening, and applying them together, it makes more sense. However, ultimately, this is what happens. Doesn't matter what you buy outside of Bitcoin, when compared to Bitcoin, long term, they all go to zero. What do you think about Dogeverse? I don't really think anything of Dogeverse. James Robbins says, long time ago, I put $20 in Doge and forgot about it. Then that epic boom years ago turned $20 into $8,000. Rare, but it happens. Yes. Just like people that someone put like, what, $600 in SHIB and made it turn into like $6 billion or something. I mean, things like that can happen. Does it happen often? No. Is it likely? No. But can it happen? There's always a chance. Can Bitcoin hit $60 million someday? Sure. But anytime soon? No. Is UFO gaming a dead project? You know, I haven't heard much about UFO gaming. I think all gaming projects are quite stale at this point. Okay, so this is encouraging. S&P is turning green. NASDAQ may turn green. NVIDIA and MicroStrategy might turn green soon. That's encouraging. But like I was saying with gaming, there's nothing in gaming that's doing well right now. All alts are doing bad. I mean, when Bitcoin goes down, all alts go down more. So we'll see if gaming comes back. Gaming has been quite weak so far. Let's see if it can gain some strength later this year or next year. Emre, to make 30x this cycle, what level market cap coins should I look for? To make 30x, kind of greedy. I would say just go for 10x, okay? When you're trying to get too greedy and saying, I want to make 30x or 50x, that means you have to go to the very small caps. And some of them work out, some of them don't. I think a better strategy is, hey, let's figure out how to do a 10x first. And even anything on the first page, I believe, be relatively easy to make 10x. Okay, concentrate on that 10x first. Then try to expand, right? Or maybe even wait for the next cycle. If you make a 10x this cycle and you take that money and do a 10x the next cycle, think about it. That's 100x. And cycles only last 4 years, right? So it only takes you 8 years to make 100x. So I think that's a better strategy than saying, well, I need to make a 30x or 100x this cycle. All right, let's look at something real quick. To just show you guys, those of you guys that are a little depressed. This is the halving event. This is how far we are after the halving event. Okay, 140 days. We're 140 days in from the halving event. Let's go to the last halving event. Let's see. Okay, let's do the same thing. 140 days. Okay, so zoomed in. 140 days inwards, right? That looks to me, we are like, what? This last cycle, we're like 30 days away from truly breaking out. In fact, let's just do it from here. To me, it looks like we're 23 days away if we were going to mimic what happened last cycle, right? So basically, we went sideways 140 days after last halving. This is 2020. We went nowhere for 140 days. And then we had to go 23 days more, so 163 days. Then we started climbing, right? And that was about end of October. But again, where were we at this point in time? For all of you naysayers that haven't been through another cycle, 140 days in the last halving event, Bitcoin was at $10,000. 10,000. Okay, where are we now? We're at 56,000. We are roughly 5x higher than that point. 500% higher than this point 4 years ago. So, again, have we gone up? Yes, we have. What other asset in the last 4 years have gone up 500%? Okay, and the cycle before that. A lot of you guys lived through 2017. 140 days in from the cycle, the halving event of 2016, right? Again, we pretty much went sideways. And then we started, you know, roughly around here. But how high was Bitcoin then? Bitcoin was here. $750. So we were at $750. Then we went to $10,800. And now we're at $56,000. So for those that don't believe that Bitcoin is actually getting bigger and stronger and forming higher highs and higher lows, there's proof for you, right? But of course, there's going to be up and downs. There always is up and downs. Joseph, when Bitcoin pumps in Q4, do you think miners like Riot, Amara, and Can will short squeeze? Sure. Sure. Wall Street will FOMO in when that happens. Atlanta Fed President Bostic says officials can't wait for inflation to hit 2% before cutting. Well, that sounds positive. But we already know a cut is coming, right? But basically he's saying, well, we need to cut now. And somehow that turned the market more red. Are you bullish on base? Sure, I like it, but you can't profit from it. So it's fine. George, do you think they can scam wick Bitcoin to $10 again this cycle? No, I don't think so. Would be interesting to see how scared people was last cycle. I may have to do. I may do that tonight. I may just bring up some of the previous streams I've done in the past during some of the scariest times in the last few cycles to show you guys that yeah, it was much scarier before, and my message was always the same. Hasn't been different, but my conviction in Bitcoin has gotten stronger over the years. Every cycle, it's not going to change. The more I learn about money, more I learn about macro factors and global economies, the more it makes me more bullish on Bitcoin. If markets ignored comments of central bankers, they would be better off. Yeah, they would. They would. I'm right, no. But I do have a DCA portfolio that I show every Wednesday night. So Joe Stringer, would you do a 5X from here? 5X is still dangerous. I gotta admit, the last few days I got wrecked with my longs. Not all of them, but some, and I got really discouraged by it. So 5X is still 5X and above, still a major. I mean, it can happen, especially with alts, right? If you go do long, stick with like a 2 or 3X at this point. For my current levels, like especially for Bitcoin, 2 or 3X is almost impossible to get liquidated at this point. But for alts, it's still possible, but not likely. But 5x and anything above can still happen. Adriana is mentioning about some AWS page. Adriana and anyone else, there are a lot of scammers that uses AI and does my voice and does my videos and makes it seem like I'm promoting some scam coin, right? As long as you're on this channel, you'll see that that never exists. You can even see it in the comments. Every single video I post, there's some kind of like bot thing, a lot of bot comments about some AWS or NDA coin or whatever. Those are all scammers. And YouTube just does not want to fix them. So I do my best to block them out, but there are a lot of impersonators like that, okay? Or scammers, impersonators, bots, so just be careful. If you stick with this channel, you'll see that nothing like that is promoted. But there are a lot of other channels that have reported and they have taken down, but there's always more that are trying to, they steal someone else's YouTube channel and they rebrand it to make it look like mine. They even put my playlist in there, which I can't control. Like you can't stop someone from putting your playlist into their channel. And they'll insert like scam ads. Mark Petty says, I wish Bitcoin wasn't so volatile. Everyone would love that, but then, you know, you missed the upside, right? Then you could just buy gold. If you wanted something that wasn't so volatile, you could go buy gold and there's very little upside or downside to it, right? You buy Bitcoin because that's not how it is. You buy Bitcoin because you want the upside. So if you want the upside, it's going to be volatile. Dimitri, it's a little too early for that. Jordan, a video on people's fear last cycle would be cool. I just try to think of life a year from now. That's the only thing you can think of, really. Just focus on the future. Think about when we get past it, and we will, and things will get better. I mean, it's not like, I mean, honestly, you don't even have to go back like years. I mean, do you guys, I don't know if you guys forgot, but did you guys forget this period right here? This period from here to here, this was 500 days, guys. 500 days of Bitcoin being below 30,000. This was just last year. This was almost exactly 1 year ago. 1 year ago, Bitcoin finally broke out of 30,000. But what about this area right here? What about from here to here? 270 days below 25,000 and 20,000. I mean, I think most of you guys watching lived through that. That was just a year ago. Did you guys forget those days? Did you forget how depressing those days were? When Bitcoin was down here 15,000, I told you guys that, hey, we will break out. We will come back. We will break 69,000. Almost no one listened here. When we were down here, people were yelling and screaming and blaming everyone about how bad Bitcoin and crypto were. But hey, did we not recover Did we not finally break out? This is after 500 freaking days. 500 days. Me streaming twice a day, telling you guys to focus on the future. We're a year later. We're a year later from here. Right? What was the exact day? 9/4. 9/4 was here. Bitcoin was at 25,000 a year ago. We are more than 100% up from a year ago. Just think about it. Last year, this time when I was streaming, Bitcoin was at $25,000. We're more than 100% up from a year ago. The Feezy said 15K was the scariest time in history I remember. It was pretty damn scary. I rewatched some of my things from when, Bitcoin crashed below 4,000. That was scarier. I mean, we have seen some scary times, right? But again, just try to put things into perspective for you guys. Right now, obviously we hit 49,000 just like a month ago. So it's not like we haven't seen it even recently. But again, want to remind you guys, because some of you guys haven't lived through some of the previous cycles, but a year ago, Bitcoin was at 25,600. Okay. And that, if you zoom in, was after a pretty nasty fall too. Look at this. We fell from 29,000 down to a low of 25,000. That was a 15% drop right there. A lot of people became discouraged. If you measure it from the top, that was a 21% drop right there. Hey, you know what? That was also in September. Yeah, that was September. When do we break out? This was October. So September, basically last year, we did nothing. And then around here, mid-October is when we started moving. Do you think, Joseph says, do you think peak Bitcoin will hit Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 of 2025? I still think it's Q4. I don't think it's changed. Maybe early Q4, maybe like November Q4, October. I mean, the difference between this cycle and previous cycles, you got to remember, we have never broken through a previous high before the halving event. Never. Never, ever. It's significant. It plays into why we're going sideways for so long. Right? Look at this. We broke through our previous high back in March. We've never, ever done that before. We weren't anywhere even close to that before. Okay? That's why it's different this time around. Look at this. Okay, to prove it to you guys, this was the previous high at 20,000. In March in 2020, before that historic run upwards, we were down here. 3,800. 3,800 versus 20,000. That's the difference. Okay? March of 2020, we dropped to 4,000, 3,800. Nowhere close of breaking that 20,000 point. When did we actually break 20,000? Was right here in November. November of 2020 is when we broke through the previous high. So if we were moving according to that, we should have never hit 73,000 in March. We shouldn't even be anywhere close to high right now. We shouldn't even break it until November, right? So, but things changed. ETFs happened. That's why we had this. That's why we're going sideways for so long, because we're just ahead of the game. Otherwise, we should be exactly where we are right now. Only Larry Fink could save us now. No, we need more than Larry Fink, okay? We don't want Larry Fink and BlackRock to buy all the Bitcoin out there. Even though temporarily, short term, it's good. Long term, no. We don't want the likes of Larry Fink to control the supply or a large portion of supply. We got to save some for ourselves. Kevin says, I have a Larry Fink poster in my bedroom. All right. All right, guys, that's enough for today. Hopefully you got educated, showed a lot of charts. Okay, just know that we're up 100% from exactly 1 year ago. We have seen scarier times. But you know what? I'm going to try to pull some of my videos from previous times when we were like down here or down even lower here, whatever. I think it'll be interesting to watch for tonight. All right, smash it a like, subscribe to the channel, stay strong, my friends. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, take care. Bye-bye.